Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot on an absolutely stunning day. There is not a cloud in the sky. It's a little bit chilly with the wind, but it is just so gorgeous. It feels like spring is just in the air. There are butterflies out. All of the trees were in bloom on the walk up here. I was just like, you know, today is the kind of day where you look outside and just think, how can I not go to the allotment? And the first thing I want to do is get inside the greenhouses and have a little bit of a seedling check. I was up here just yesterday and I noticed a bit of a problem. That window is not opening as much as I think it should be. And I'm betting it is absolutely roasting in here, and it is. The good news is the louver vent is working really nicely, but let me get the thermometer out and just see how warm it really is in here. I do normally have this little thermometer in the shade. I've just brought it up. It's currently reading 25 and climbing, but you know, I think 30 is kind of the limit for what I really want for the greenhouses, but the max temperature reading on here as of a couple of hours ago was 46 degrees. I spent a while yesterday fiddling with the auto vent, trying to see if something was wrong with it, see what was going on. I just couldn't figure it out. I kind of thought, okay, well, we'll just leave it, but 46 degrees, it's a wonder that anything is still alive. It looks like it was only about that kind of hot for about half an hour maybe, but things are looking a little warm. That high combined with a low of 1 degree last night, we did avoid the frost, but look, Steve the cucumber I think is finally really starting to see the effects. Not looking healthy at all. I'm not sure if that's low temperature or high temperature. He definitely looked a bit better than that yesterday. His big cousin, his big brother, is hanging on fine though, much more robust. Everything else is looking actually not too bad, considering it hit 46 degrees in here. I'm guessing maybe on these lower shelves, they're just a little bit better. Nothing too much has changed apart from these tomatoes. People were perhaps rightly concerned by my lack of germination, but I think the main issue on the tomatoes was actually a lack of moisture. I think I was just keeping them a little dry, and they're just starting to come up now. We've got one of these brads which were planted much later than the rest. The first Tachi, the Roma tomatoes looking really good. No St. Pierre yet. The black chocolate and the black strawberry looking really good. And there's another black one there, the black M. Oh, what's that one? Don't remember, but we've got two. No honeycomb just yet, but loads of sun gold. The sun gold have come up really strong. All in all, we've got 11 cells with tomatoes out of about 24. So not great, not bad, but all of these have a couple of tomatoes in. So if only one of the cells germinates, that's okay. I'm not panicking. I'm in no rush with these tomatoes as well, because we've still got such low nighttime temperatures. I'm kind of okay with them just taking a little while because I don't want them to get damaged. I did get in touch with Bayliss, the auto vent manufacturer yesterday, explained the situation to them, and they said, I think your cylinder's not working, so we're going to just send you another one, which is pretty good, isn't it? You can't complain about that, but I just wanted to give it another day and double check, give it another day of getting properly warm to just make sure that there was a problem there. You can see it's quite different compared with the greenhouse just next door, and let's see how warm it is in here. One thing I do think I'm going to do is invest in some automatic louver opening. Yeah, it's pretty warm in here. Not as warm as the other one, but having an auto opening vent in here as well, I think would just really, really help out. I gave these peas a good water yesterday, but they are looking, I don't know, maybe it's just a little too warm in here for these guys as well. I think they need the, you know, when you've got the door closed and just the window open, it's not great. I think it's quite possible I've maybe being a bit complacent and just thought, well, I've got the auto vent in here, everything will be fine, but now it's really starting to warm up in the sun, and if you've not got the door open or your louver vents open, I just don't think there's enough air circulating around. So thankfully, you know, nothing in here has been cooked. We've not lost anything, but I think there's a few warning signs on these peas. And I have been sowing a few little bits and bobs. There's a few more things in here. I didn't want to get too many of the tender things sown, just because, like I say, we've got a few weeks cooler temperatures, so I've just sown one cucumber. One more experimental cucumber. That's the market more, so it's a little bit more tolerant of those cold temperatures. We've got some more lettuce on the go, some basil, cumin. Has anyone grown cumin before? And if so, do you have any tips for it? Because this is something I would absolutely love. It's probably my favourite herb. And I've tried to grow it last year and nothing really happened. We just stuck some in the back garden. Didn't really do anything. So I would absolutely love to have some cumin. It looks really good for pollinators as well. So any tips for cumin, please let me know in the comments. Got some ishikura, spring onions as well to replace the others. And I've potted on some of the calendula, which I think might just be a little bit warm. And this is a successional sowing of broad beans because after my last episode, I did actually get the broad beans planted out and they're looking okay. It's this bed just had a nice mulch with horse manure and we've got a nice couple, you know, 2 double lines there, 2 double rows of broad beans. They're looking really healthy. They seem to have taken to the new home quite well. They're looking pretty good. It's been a couple of days and I can't wait to see them start to flourish, really. It's my first time doing broad beans or fava beans, and it's just really cool getting something out so early. It looks like it grows so strong. Very similar to the field beans, which are just going absolutely great guns. I don't know if you can see them because they're in the shade of the tree. It's always frustrating, but just really, really nice to have those out. There's not as many as I thought there would be, and obviously I'm going to need to, I was going to say I'm going to need to build them a support structure. But that is the Sutton, which is a dwarf, and apparently they don't need much support at all, so that's good. But I have got some successional sowings on the go just because I'm assuming I'll need more. But now I've said that, I might get a load of comments going, well, I hope you like broad beans, JB. I've never really eaten them that much before, so we'll see, won't we? And on the new plot, not much has changed, but there is one thing to update you on, which is really cool. A new thing I'm growing again. Lots of new things this year. It's really, really cool. But just down here, I've put the shallot sets in. And I'm really pleased because these look so, they looked so dodgy. They didn't look like they were going to do much. And their root systems were incredible. I couldn't believe it when I picked the first one up and it just had this really massive root system. So they took a little bit of untangling, but they're all now in their new home and they're looking pretty happy so far. It's been cool too because as I've been planting things into these new no-dig beds, I've seen just how much life there is in the soil already. This little kind of top layer of manure on top of the cardboard is already got loads of earthworm life and they're going to be bringing all of the goodness down into the soil and improving that quality over time. The weed growth has been okay apart from dandelions and plantain, which have come up really strong through the cardboard, but I'm just going to keep on top of that and I'm sure it will be okay. Unsurprisingly, no sign of the parsnip just yet because it was just a few days ago that I sowed these, but I did also interplant this with a load of spinach. Thought it would be nice to have something in here. I'm hoping to see that come up quite soon. I have just noticed as well that next door has had a bit of a seeing to. I've had loads of comments about the greenhouse next door which came down, and I'm not sure if this is the council that have come down and trimmed it and just temporarily secured the greenhouse, or if my new next door neighbour has come along and started doing a bit of work on the plot. They have as well. It might be my next door neighbour as well actually, because this was a load of grapevines I think, and these have all been trimmed right back. In terms of jobs to do, I think there's 2 main things at the moment, really. The first is continuing conversion of the new plot, and the second is just keeping on top of the sowing and all of that. And I feel like I'm pretty on top of the sowing, actually. There's not too many more things I can sow at this time of year, unless I really want to chance it and risk it. But I've done that plenty. You know, I've got loads of chilies, loads of cucumbers, loads of melons indoors, that kind of thing. So one thing I do want to try, I'm being absolutely blinded by the reflection on my greenhouse. Why was that so strong? The other thing I can try is putting to use some of the potatoes because I've got way too many seed potatoes. So I thought it would be cool to try some in pots. Good news is I found some containers. The bad news is there are a couple missing. I got 8 out of 10. I'm hoping that the rest are just at home, but If you've ever seen a video about potatoes before, you recognise these. These are from Oakland Gardens, and they're kind of really robust containers that are designed, almost designed for potatoes. They can take a lot of weight. I'll put a link in the description. It won't be an affiliate link, but you know, if you want to go see what they are, you can do. A massive thank you to all my patrons who let me do things like buy these. I bought these a little while back, kind of just to see, but an extra special thank you as well to my chili pepper tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Louise, Pam, and Michael. I'm getting good at that. I'm getting much quicker. But yes, people are evangelical about growing potatoes in containers, aren't they? It's maybe not as popular as it was a few years ago, but I'm intrigued to see, and I'm going to do a little bit of a test. Nothing crazy, but this isn't a how-to. You know I don't do how-tos. This isn't a how to get the most absolute maximum crop out of your containers or anything like that. I'm just intrigued to see how they do because I've never done it, and I'm going to do a little bit of a test. So I've got two main crop varieties, Desiree and King Edwards, and we're going to do 2 tubs of each. Yes, 2 tubs of each. One is going to be better than the other. So one I'm going to fill with a bit of soil, a lot of crappy compost, the New Horizon peat-free stuff that I got. And then the other treatment is going to be a little bit kinder, a bit more silver grow, a bit more kind of well-rotted manure, and some chicken pellets, that kind of thing. I want this to be a kind of real world, you know, like I've got a bit of fertilizer lying around, some chicken pellets, I've got some good compost, some crap compost. We're gonna see how they do, and everyone's got soil, haven't they? And the thing is, I've got loads of space here, so I'm gonna be doing lots more potatoes in the ground later on in the season as well. But having these in pots will let me kind of put them in the greenhouse, get a little bit of a head start. And I think I'm going to put them probably just in this little space between the greenhouses. And I'm not sure if that's going to be like a nice sheltered area or if it's just going to be a little bit of a wind tunnel. But we'll find out. I've got a bit of an idea to maybe do some tomatoes in containers in here too. Those big kind of grow bags and that kind of thing. But we'll see. I've had to change your angle slightly because before the chicken manure pellets in my tripod. So I'm going to do the crappy ones first, and I'm just going to use this New Horizon peat-free compost, which you've seen me complaining about all season. I opened up a bag of this the other day and it was just like a horror show. It's over there, it's stood up, and I'm not using that. It's just completely white with mold. I think as a medium for potatoes, something that grows really quick and doesn't have too much of a requirement in terms of, you know, nice fine texture, you know, they're not too fussy. Hopefully this will be okay. I really don't know where else to use this, to be honest. I just end up chucking it on the beds otherwise, so I'm gonna do loads of this. And I am gonna give this a little bit of a fertilise, not too much. I mentioned this when I did my last potato planting video. Chicken pellets are kind of, you know, some people love them for potatoes, some people they say they're not great. But just a little handful of that, and as well, I picked up some really cheap fertiliser in Wilko the other day, and I'm just going to do, this is kind of pelleted, artificial, just a very small handful of that. And then I'm going to do a little bit of soil in here as well, just because, like I say, soil is free. Why not? I've got some bits in my beds which are just like, they're too high, they're built up too high, and it's just a nuisance. So actually taking a little bit of soil out of some of the beds is going to be a benefit. I say beds, they're not raised beds, you know, I just grow in the ground. Now I'm just going to give this a really good mix. It's got the soil in here now, probably not great in terms of weed seed, but like I say, I just want to see, is it pots or is it just because, you know, do people just get amazing results from doing potatoes in containers? Because, you know, it's going to be great if you're growing them in a load of compost, which you can't really do in the ground. You know, it's going to be a mix of soil and compost, and is it really worth, you know, buying lots and lots of bags of compost just to get a little bit of a better harvest compared to just sticking them in the ground, where they normally do amazingly. I've always had really good luck and decent success with my spuds just from sticking them in the ground. I'm gonna just make some holes for the spuds now, and then make sure these are labelled nice and clearly with labels that just say King Edward bad and Desiree bad. I was unsure whether to go with 3 or 4. I've seen a mixture of kind of sizes that people use. I've gone with 3 just because I prefer having slightly fewer potatoes after experiences of planting them in the ground too close together. I think they really compete. And so I'd rather just give these guys a little bit of extra room. Now I'll do that obviously the same in the second treatment as well. Treatment makes it sound like a bit more of a professional science experiment than this really is. And then for the treatments behind, what I've done is it's about 60% well-rotted manure and kind of 30% good quality, well, premium compost, Melcourt Silvergrow. And that Melcourt Silvergrow is very dear, so I'd intended to do a bit more. But as I was putting it in the buckets, I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to spend all this money on a few potatoes in a tub, because one of those bags is about £8, maybe even 9, I can't remember exactly now. It's a lot of money either way. So we've got a lot of well-rotted manure, and then I did put in a little bit of kind of crappy compost in these as well. But it's quite a fun little experiment, isn't it? I'm interested to see how these go. And it'll be interesting to see how quickly they come up in comparison to ones which are planted in the ground. The containers are now in their new home in the greenhouse, and they're only going to be there for a little while. And to be honest, I don't want to leave them in there too long, because at the moment they're going to cook. A really funny thought occurred to me as I was doing the spuds with this auto vent and the lack of louvre next door. I realised I've actually got kind of two halves of one working greenhouse here. Sod's law, doesn't it? You know, it would be nice if just one of them worked, but no, I've got two that just don't really work at the moment. I'm really excited to see how those potatoes come on though. It's probably getting a bit long in the video, so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to hit the bell and do all the good stuff below so that you can come and join me next time, and we'll see what I got up to, because it's such a lovely day. So I'm going to be here for a little while longer yet.